Another method for solving quadratic equations is the quadratic formula. Remember, we watched a video on how to derive this formula by completing the square, but you do need to memorize this quadratic formula. The quadratic formula is one of the most important formulas in algebra. You must keep in mind you can solve every quadratic equation by completing the square or using the quadratic formula. You should learn the verbal statement of the quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. Once you memorize the quadratic formula, applying it is quite easy. So here in this first example, we want to use the quadratic formula to solve this equation. The first thing we have to do is get this side equal to 0, and we have x squared plus 3x minus 9 equals 0. And notice you cannot solve this by factoring. So now we know a is 1, b is 3, c is negative 9. So plugging into my quadratic formula, x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. Now that we've plugged it in, we just need to simplify. X equals negative 3 plus or minus the square root. 3 squared is 9, and if I multiply these three, negative 4 times 1 times negative 9 is plus 36, all over 2 times 1, which is 2. So now I need to simplify what's inside of that square root, which is 9 plus 36. So x equals negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 45 all over 2. So now what we need to do is simplify this square root by factoring out a perfect square factor. The perfect square that goes into 45 is 9 times 5 all over 2. So x equals negative 3 plus or minus 3 square root 5 over 2. X equals negative 3 over 2 plus or minus 3 square root 5 over 2. So notice that is two answers, negative 3 over 2 plus 3 square root 5 over 2, and negative 3 over 2 minus 3 square root 5 over 2. But this answer here is the shorthand way of showing those two x values, those solutions that make your quadratic equation equal to 0.